Hi Maxi, hi Faye. Thank you for coming to Hueco Studio. It was super nice to have you here. How are you feeling? How are you doing the last days here?
Really good. We had so much fun, like exploring the place around and being here. Like so much time that we spent on trying out new instruments and yeah, worked on the tracks. And it was so much fun to play them tonight.
Cool.
Absolutely, especially trying those lovely synthesizers
Nice. Nice, nice,
and
nice.
finding new interpretations of the songs. So yeah,
Yeah,
we
cool.
had a great time so far, I would say.
Amazing. Because you both grew up in a rural place in middle of Germany.
Mhm.
um, how do you think this growing up in these kind of places shape your style of making things in general?
Well, I would say like being in a place which is more quiet always gets me more into concentrated state of mind, like working on the art, whatever art it is, even the painting,
Mhm.
um, being more focused and not so much stuff which is getting me or my thoughts into different spaces. So up till now, I always try to find myself a place where I can live,
Mhm.
which is more quiet, to be really concentrated on my art.
Because you are living also now in Berlin, which is
Yeah,
kind of the
yeah.
Very
opposite, right?
quiet place to concentrate a lot, of course. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Berlin has these places too. You just have to find them. But once you want the different part of the life, like the more crazy, whatever, outgoing, you can find it as well. That's what I like. Like it's not
Mhm.
because I grew up in this quiet area and then I needed something else. So it
Sure.
drove me to Berlin, definitely.
Also, you both also come from a kind of artistic background, like you are art teachers, if we can say that.
See?
Yeah.
Do you think these kind of jobs also influence the way you create music or how you interpret music as well, how you play live music or?
I mean, from my side, it gets you this kind of experimental curiosity, curiosity, which you have in exchange with young people, where you
Mhm.
need to be spontaneous because you're in this vibe where you need to connect with them, and it's something you or I'm taking away also for my artistic practice in art and music. So I would say from my side, yes, it's like a shaping and
Mhm.
reshaping.
Yeah. And
I feel that.
Faye, what does the title Agony the Muse means to you, if you hear it?
Yeah, well, I came up with that title because I like the fact of there's always something like a deep, depressed is maybe a bit too much, but saying like
Mhm.
a deeper part in the music that I do and creating something at the same time which is always hopeful, and the muse is something that I really like to play around with, like this kind of, there could be people being muses, there could also be melodies which really kind of work like a muse and stuff,
Mhm.
whatever comes around. And so this was shaping the title, like having both in one, like something that is kind of deep, going into the more negative part of the life, but at the same time turning into something which is inspiring
Mhm.
and bringing you somewhere. And at the end, this state of being close to be sometimes a bit desperate is at the same time always bringing you to a new level in life.
Mhm.
Like the things that are not so positive are always getting me far from where I was before.
Mhm.
So this is actually
Interesting.
good.
Mm. And talking about your creative process, how do you start creating a new song? Like, is there a phrase, a sound, some improvisation with your guitar?
Ooh, that's like lately there've been super like many different ways of creation. Like in my life, I was mostly always writing by myself and
Mhm.
just starting out with grabbing any instrument, mostly guitar. starting with a melody and right away texting on it.
Mhm.
But also I found out that it's really great to work together with people right away. So sometimes I enjoy being in a room with someone who is coming up with a melody and I can concentrate on texting first. So for me, it's kind of both ways that work. Being alone and writing on your own is great, but I really enjoy being able to having kind of a conversation.
With that.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was also one of my questions. Like when you produce on your own, but you also make also covers, not covers, but you produce with other producers. Yeah. What do you prefer actually? You just said it somehow, but
If I had to choose, if someone would ask me like, would you rather be always alone in a room and write on your own, or being in this situation of writing with someone together, I would choose the second.
Okay.
Like I would say, because you can rise together to a certain point where I feel you on your own always are more limited than with someone else who is also speaking the language of music. That's important who you got there. Because there could be people who I couldn't work with, of course.
yeah.
But if you have someone it's great to work with, then it makes you always think further than you do on your own. And you can act and react. And this is something really special. If you just be on your own, there's no chance of reacting on anything because you only speak to yourself, kind of. So.
Nice. And when you're playing with Jet Franco,
when I play with Ted when she's playing with me. Yeah.
Well, when she's playing with you, yeah, sorry.
We started right from the beginning, like together. Yeah.
Nice. Do you play without her when you play with your band?
Not anymore.
So
like
she's there.
Not
it was
anymore.
she's
Now
just
we're married.
there. She was there, and then it was kind of clear that we have this language together in music, which is great. I mean, the way we figured out we want to do music together was really easy and without any pressure, which I still think is the best way. When you search for someone to play music with, it's mostly ending up you just search desperately and you change the musicians around you because you're like, I need someone who's playing this instrument, and then maybe this person doesn't have the same feeling with the band like you do. And with us it was more like we already been friends. And when I started this Lorvain music, because I had another band before, I was kind of feeling, I want to do things differently. I want to have more female power as well on the stage. And she was right away in this first moments when I started to think about all this, and I knew she's a great how do you say actually and has all these great ideas about instruments, how to play around with sounds and being super arty in the way of finding new sounds. So I was like, hey, let's try this, let's do this together.
How are you feeling, Jet Franco, about this?
Happy. I mean, we had a really playful start with each other, so which was really good because I think we still have it in our sound, this playful approach with each other and a certain kind of humor. I think other people can feel that hopefully too. So it was a great start, which still carried till now, step by step, and it's also evolving step by step with the years and the songs. So yeah, I think we will keep it, and hope we will keep it.
Cool.
Yeah, we will keep
it. I think we do.
And now talking about something more technical, what's your go-to setup? Like, do you have any favorite gear, instruments, some instruments or gear that you couldn't live without?
I mean, it's a bit funny because I didn't have it today, but my tambourine, of course, it's a usually must have. But
it's hard to fix. Like for me, it's hard to be fixed on one instrument.
We noticed today.
And I mean, the way I grew up, or I grew with music was first I learned some piano, like this basic thing of how a lot of people grow into music. And then what was kind of cool, my parents made me choose one instrument, and it was drums.
Ooh.
And I learned to play drums from then on. And of course, drums is not the nicest instrument for writing songs.
Yeah.
That's when I started to learn guitar. And from the guitar, I got to the bass. And I never came to a point where I said, like, now I'm over with this instrument. I just want to play this now. I was always like, I have this, that, and that. And I try to be flexible. When I need this, I'm going to grab it. And it's, for me, it's also great to have people who are like totally focused on one instrument, who want to play it in the band, for example. I'm like, okay, I'm getting super loose on someone else playing this. But I also like to have the chance of always like switching into any or the other thing.
Super.
And singing is my stable instrument.
Yeah. Stable instrument.
There you can trust on. I'm gonna sing.
And when the audience, people in general, are listening to your music, what would you like them to feel when they are listening to?
I would say it's up to everyone, the story of everyone, the moment, the situation. I can imagine there's some songs which I feel happy about and someone else feels like melancholic or whatever. And it's totally okay, because I also made this experience all of the time that I interpret something in songs that I listen to. And actually, when you really check the lyrics, you're like, okay, there's a total different meaning for what I saw in it. And it's great, because I feel at the end, that's what's the biggest aim ever. If you reach out to people with the music that you do without putting like a mask on the people with what you felt, it's more about the people could be able to put their own meaning into it. That's what I would love to have.
And looking ahead, how do you see yourself, like in the near future?
In 10 years.
10 years,
Wow.
maybe 5, 10 is.
Let's say.
Let's
I
say.
would love to, like for me, I would love to keep the things actually in this way of like being super intuitive about things coming up and doing them. Like we had this.
Yeah, this exploring way
we
have with,
For us today,
other
the
and
room
also
was a
with the
total different room, different
music.
space, different people from what we have maybe next month or the last month. And to be a bit like, you know, super flexible about situations to come up and change, and being going back into small places, bigger places, whatever, playing different venues, trying out a lot of stuff in the music, and always developing yourself, being
Amazing.
never stop exploring, staying curious, whatever it is, big, small.
So we can hope something cool coming at some point.
we hope so too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Thanks for having us for today.
I mean,
It was really amazing.
it was a real pleasure for us just to have you here. We enjoyed a lot. Really.
For us as well.
Yeah. Is there anything else you would like to share with us?
I really want to say thanks to this whole team today.
Muchas
And
gracias.
Muchas gracias. Because I feel a lot of warmth here, and that's what I said to the people. And I think it's important to have things like this happening. So I'm really happy we could be a part of it.
Amazing. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Thank you
All the
guys.
best for the future.
Amore.
Yeah.